What's going on, everybody? Harold Pan here, physical therapist, father of two young children, 2.5 and 1.5. Last night I spoke about the Nino method that my therapist patient had shared with me. But something I didn't speak about was a therapy session that I did have for myself. And in that session, I shared a lot of my frustrations about my health. And it's I look back upon like when we first started sending the kids to daycare back in October, November, December, January, February, and now we are in mid-March. So 5.5 months. I have been sick for 4.5 of those months. 4.5 out of 5.5. And I've been told that the first 6 months to 1 year of preschool daycare, you're going to be sick all the time. But I didn't expect it to be like so. But something that my therapist shared with me, or he asked me this, and I thought it was a good point. It sucks. You exhibit symptoms to hold you down, and it's really rough: coughing, GI problems, throwing up, getting behind on everything you have to do, being tired, aches, chills, fevers. I mean, maybe not all of it at once, but consecutively. It's not pleasant, but could it be possible that we could look at this in a more objective way? And I sometimes apply this with my patients in PT care, talking about pain. Is there a way we can look at pain from a more objective standpoint? Most of the time, when you're in that much pain, you kind of don't care. But if you can't get out of it, you have to start to think about it a little bit more. And yeah, I consider myself fairly educated, and I gave it a try here. And here's what it is. Your physical illness manifests into a variety of bodily symptoms. That's your immune response. That's your body fighting infection and creating stuff to protect you. It's actually a good thing that you have all these symptoms to fight all these things so your system doesn't go into failure. I mean, if you want to look at it as good or bad, but what does it tell you need? And for me, I think this dawned on me that, and one of my old mentors, Greg, talked about this to me a couple of weeks ago as well. When you're sick, you have to physically slow down. Your body is in need of rest. What do you do when you're sick? You get bed rest. You get a lot of fluids. You eat right. You take medicine. We've known this our whole lives, and when the whole family's sick, you have to apply it to everybody. But I think it gets muddled up in the fact that you have to juggle other things. You have to juggle your day job. You have to juggle, kids going to school. You have to juggle maintaining, the house chores. You have to juggle a lot more, and it gets complicated by adult things. But, in the simplest forms, what's the real priority? Getting better. And not only that, but while you're physically resting, you may need to mentally kind of slow down a little bit. I know I was told that your brain kind of speeds up while you're ill because you're physically slowing down. To an extent, that's true. But you also can't be worrying. You can't be itching to get back into things because you're going to launch yourself into a behavior of things that are going to cut down on your rest time, on your ability for self-care, your ability to take your medicines at the right time, to prioritize going to the doctor on a more, regular basis or like urgently when you have to go urgently. We shrug that off thinking we know better. And we want to kind of defeat whatever it is that life throws at us, those circumstances. But honestly, the way to get around it is to work with it. Why I'm sharing this with you, I need somebody to benefit from my suffering here, from learn my lessons. And this is all it is. I'm sharing with you, look, as a young father, there's constant pressure. You have to pay the bills. You have to make your marriage as best as it can be. You have to keep yourself healthy. You have to excel in your career. You don't have to, but you want to. You know, you're kind of in the prime of your like your earning opportunities and your career. At the same time, you know, your kids are at the prime of their growing up and development, and you want to be present for all of it. It's not to say that it's not possible to do all of it. In fact, you should want it, but you have to focus on one thing and you have to prioritize. And I covered this in a previous video, but priority is, figuring out what you need the most. And when you are down and out, and this is a challenge, it's going to be a challenge for anybody really, because COVID isn't, it's not as scary as it was before, but it's always going to be around. There's this norovirus making its way around. Everything's going to make its way around. You can't be afraid of getting out in the world, but you have to work with what life gives you. And if it gives you bed rest, you better take it. Take 2 days, take 3 days. Your work might not like it, you might not like it, but you actually taking that time to recover, letting yourself take the load off your shoulders and not stressing over things, that's a part of recovery too. Because when you manifest your emotional, your mental, behavioral stresses, it becomes physical. It's a real thing. You elevate those cortisol levels, you hijack your resources. This has been well documented. This also transfers over to your experience of pain, how often you get sick, your immune responses. So, I've been preaching this to my patients, but putting into practice is challenging. And I want you to know that too. It's okay to be challenged, but to actually overcome it, you have to work with it. You have to actually acknowledge and take action on what is being given to you. And sometimes taking action is taking some downtime. When you go exercise in the gym, when you're trying to build muscle mass, you take rest days too, right? You take rest periods in between sets. And that applies to recovering in your body. That applies to mentally recovering as well. It doesn't mean sit around and play Xbox all day or anything like that. But it means, eating the right things. It means making sure you are sleeping at night. You might need to sleep during the day. You might actually need to not focus on work-related tasks as much as you can until you are ready. It's not an excuse to slack off, but it is a mandated time off for you. If you treat it as such, you will get better faster than if you try to rush the process. I hope this helps. I hope somebody out here is going to learn from this and not be held back the same way that I have by, me kind of shooting myself in the foot. At least this is my interpretation. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please share this with anybody else who might find this helpful. Thanks.